Hey, how's it going everyone? My name is True Underdog, here today with a guide on how to play Sombra. This guide will cover her stats and abilities, as well as some helpful tips on how to play her effectively. So without further ado, let's break her down step by step. Now first and foremost, Sombra is an offensive character, although her utilities do make her feel like a support character as well. As an offense-based character, she has low health, 200 in fact. However, she makes up for this with great mobility and solid damage with her weapon. You may have already heard this, but her weapon is a lot like Tracer's, meaning it does great damage up close, but only okay damage at mid-range, and from far away it's practically useless. And while it doesn't do as much damage as Tracer's gun, it has a much larger clip. So get used to holding down that fire button, because she has a lot of bullets in that gun. Now Sombra's passive ability allows her to see enemies through walls as long as they have less than half their health, which as you can imagine is very effective for team play. If one of your teammates is nearby an opponent who has weak health, you can call that enemy out and get them killed right away. And obviously if you're the closest one to that enemy player, then you can take them out. So all in all, I consider it a very useful passive trait. Okay, so that's it for her basic stats, so let's move on to her abilities. First off, we have Hack. This stops the enemy player from using any of their abilities for a total of 6 seconds. So afterwards, most heroes can only move around and fire their gun. That's about it with the exception of passive traits. So for example, Genji can still climb walls, and Junkrat will still drop bombs whenever he dies. Those things will not go away, but their main abilities do, and that's still a very big factor. Now the hack itself takes between 2 and 3 seconds. And during those 3 seconds, you must maintain your line of sight and make sure that Sombra does not take any damage. If she does, the hack stops. This is why it can be quite difficult to hack Torbjorn's turret if no one else is currently distracting it. Now a very big thing worth noting is Sombra can actually hack the health packs, and this hack lasts for 1 minute. During that time, the enemy team cannot use any of those health packs, and yes, you can hack more than one health pack at a time. Not only can the enemy not use the health packs, but they also recover a lot faster, which is great for you and your entire team. Next on our list we have Thermoptic Camo. This ability turns Sombra invisible for 6 seconds and cools down in just 6 seconds. So it goes without saying you're going to use this ability very often. Now while Sombra is invisible most of the time, if you get too close to the opponent they actually can see a slight shimmer and know that you're nearby. So try to maintain a little bit of elbow room between you and enemy players. Not to mention certain characters like Widowmaker and Hanzo can use certain abilities to see you. On top of that, certain attacks that auto-aim will still find her. A good example of this is Soldier 76's ultimate attack. So do make sure to keep that in mind. Basically any enemy ability that can track you through walls or lock onto you will still hit you regardless of whether or not you're invisible. With all of that being said, it is still a fantastic ability that you should utilize all the time, since you can stay invisible while capturing a point and pushing a convoy forward, both of which are very useful. Next up we have her Translocator. After being tossed out, this device can teleport Sombra wherever it lands, which is great for getting behind enemy lines or escaping from a hectic firefight when your health gets too low. Now this trait lasts for 15 seconds after it's tossed, and thankfully the counter is put on screen right next to your reticle, so it's pretty hard to lose track of how much time you have left. Now just like her other traits, it only has a 6-second cooldown, so it's important that you utilize this thing very often. It's also worth mentioning that unlike Symmetra's portal, it actually has no health and can't be destroyed by the enemy players. Last but not least, we have Sombra's EMP. This ultimate disables all barriers and shields while also hacking all the players within range. Now keep in mind, you must also have direct line of sight with the players as well. So in that regard, it's very similar to D.Va's ultimate. If you hide behind a certain object, it actually won't hit you. So make sure you're in an open area before you use it. Otherwise you might not hit every player in range. This ultimate is best utilized when your teammates also have their ultimates at the ready. That way you can take away all the enemy team's abilities and they will just get smashed by whatever comes their way. It's also worth mentioning that this EMP stops Lucio's ultimate as well, which means you prevent the enemy team from getting any health buffs. Now if you want a full list of what the EMP does to every enemy hero, then I have links to other videos on YouTube that explain it very well and in a lot of depth, so make sure you check those out, they did a really good job. Alright, now last but not least, I want to discuss some tips and tricks. One of my favorite exploits that Sombra currently has is that she can hack a health pack, throw down a translocator right next to it, turn invisible, and then run out behind enemy lines, kill off 1 or 2 heroes, and then teleport back, get the health pack, hack it again, throw down a second translocator, and then turn invisible and repeat the whole process over and over again until she's found out by the enemy team. This tactic is very effective, especially online against random players. Now as you get higher up in the rank, it's not going to work as often, but it's still a very good strategy to implement, at least a few times until the enemy team catches onto it. Another useful and somewhat cheap tactic that Sombra has is to just stay at the mid-range the entire fight whenever capturing a point. You can hack a nearby health pack, and then just poke your head out long enough to pick off a few players or at least do some damage, and then run back, get some more health, hack it a second time, and then just run out and pick off a few more heroes. While this tactic isn't as complex as the first one, it's a lot more reliable, mostly because you don't have to run up behind enemy lines. You can kind of stay at that safe mid distance and just do some damage from a distance, so it's not nearly as risky. Alrighty dogs, that concludes this guide. If you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please leave a like down below. And while you're down there, go ahead and post a comment too. Tell me what you think. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more videos, because we have content on this channel every single week. It's never a dull moment on Underdog Gaming, so make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.